Hi everyone. So today I've got Anna from Food Friends, and so We're going to kick off, sorry, by just firstly asking Anna if she could just quickly introduce herself and her wonderful organisation.
Hey, my name's Anna Mantell and I run a charity called Food Friends. So Food Friends, we're a small charity based in the south of England. Our mission is to combat loneliness and isolation through food and friendship. So we do this through a home cooked meal sharing initiative. Volunteers sign up to share extra portions of their home cooked food with someone living nearby who'd benefit from, the delicious meal delivered with some company and conversation.
Love it. So how did it start, Anna?
So it started, I'm a mum. I've got a couple of girls, and after I had my second daughter, I'd been working as a nurse. I didn't go back to work. I was in a bit of that like conveyor belt of kind of like looking after kids, no sleep, and I was in a difficult place. Anyway, I made a great friend locally called June. She's now 92, but this was 12 years ago, and we just struck up a great friendship. Like, as I said, I was in this position of like being on a conveyor belt. She lived in Whitstable, where I live. She'd gone to school here, but it was so strange. She had really deep roots in the area, but very kind of few local connections. She was feeling really disconnected, and we just struck up like a beautiful friendship. We're still friends today. She often spends Christmas with us. My kids love her. She's a big part of our life, and it made me really see just how awesome it was to be friends with someone that was at a different point in their life. Like her friendship is so valuable and I learned so much from her. So I set up Food Friends essentially so that other people like myself who, are living really busy life and almost feel like just got no time to do anything else, but actually a volunteering opportunity that people could engage with and be part of and really benefit from themselves.
I love that. There's a lot of people we sometimes speak to who are thinking about starting up their own, whether it be community interest CICs or their own charities and stuff like that. And so, you did this living a very, very busy life outside of this. Any thoughts or advice to people who are kind of thinking or considering doing something similar?
Yeah. So when I started Food Friends, I got together with a group of local professionals together. So people from different charities, someone from health background, someone from social care, someone from the council, and talked about my idea and kind of run it past them. And then we thrashed out, things we need to consider, like risks and everything we need. And actually I set up with the support of a local charity, like a local umbrella charity that kind of supported us for the first year, because obviously they had all of the infrastructure in place. So we kind of had that nice ease in, and then we became a registered charity after about a year and a half. But yeah, I think my guidance would be like tap into other people doing great things. Like wherever you live, there'll be, people in your community with experience, whether it be specifically what you're trying to set up or in other areas. So I think the most important thing is probably to work with other people and actually not do it on your own, if that makes sense.
100% makes total sense. So Anna, you said you're a small charity, but when we first met, you were a smaller charity actually.
We're a smaller charity.
A fair bit. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so before we started using Voluntero, we were kind of operational in one district in Kent, and then we onboarded with Voluntero, and we've really flourished and grown since then. We're now kind of operational across 3 districts and just been funded to start in a 4th. Got a really great, we're really well known, we've got a really great reputation. I feel like we're really slick and we really know what we're doing, and I think that's down to onboarding with Voluntero in our infancy, as it were, because that's really helped us to grow.
Yeah, no, I love that. That really makes a lot of sense. And in terms of some of those outcomes, you've grown a decent amount. I think you've 4 or 5 times the amount of volunteers you worked with before, right? Yeah, I think you haven't had to kind of onboard an equivalent, sort of proportional amount of staff to kind of help you facilitate that, but you have grown your staff members. So has it helped you to kind of do more with less, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the different features on Voluntero really help with that. I mean, we're a charity that we don't have a premises. We keep our core costs low. There's 4 members of staff managing like a massive force of volunteers, but the 4 members of staff all work from home. Voluntero allows us to do that, to like have great workflows and processes to make things kind of efficient and quick. And you know, I'm sure most people appreciate that if anyone's signing up to volunteer, you need to reduce as many barriers as you can to make it hard for them. You know, you need everything to be really easy, and you need to have your processes, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously we've got very strict safer recruitment processes at Food Friends, but yeah, all the systems need to be in place. So yeah, definitely Volunteeros helped us to grow, also helped us, you know, when we've got a new member of staff in a new area, it's like literally just training them up on Volunteero essentially, and then they can access everything. So yeah, definitely.
And how's the experience been from the volunteers' perspective? Have they taken to it well?
Yeah, I think we had a good network of volunteers before we onboarded with Volunteero, and it's always going to be harder to kind of migrate people that weren't using Volunteero to using it. But yeah, and actually we had a volunteers forum last year, like in the summer. Actually, some of the comments were that we could improve our comms to encourage people to use Volunteero. So now we send out like 4 to 6 week reminders for volunteers to submit reports, and we kind of try and get across the importance for us as a charity of monitoring our impact and, you know, hearing about what's going on out there in the outreach work that our volunteers are doing. So yeah, definitely. I think we've learned as an organisation, and I think, you know, on our mind, we're always thinking about how can we utilise Volunteero. For example, you've got the new survey functions that came out recently, well, not recently, a few months ago, but we've been using those and they're fantastic. We've had an annual volunteer survey that's come through there, and we were nominated for a King's Award. So I had like, an interview with them, and I was like, oh crikey, I need to pull off our annual survey data, and it was really easy, and, you know, it was all really good. So I feel like all those new functions that you add are really brilliant. Like, every time there's a new function, my whole team are excited about what it is and how we can utilize it. So
love to hear that, Anna. Well, look, there's one thing I wanted to ask you, which was, you know, any kind of feel-good stories just from Food Friends you could share with us. I mean, your story in itself with June and that blossoming friendship that you've had is an amazing feel-good story in itself. But I'm sure you hear it's not always just about the numbers, is it really? It really is about those stories of genuine impact and friendships that have been built. So any that you could share with us, snippets?
Yeah, I mean, I've got loads. But yeah, just one that comes to mind because I spoke to her this week. Got a really fantastic lady that we support. She's in her 70s. She lives in a kind of rural area. And when we met her, she was referred to us by some district nurses that were visiting her. And she was in a really tricky situation, and you know, doesn't really have much support locally, so was feeling really, really disconnected, and really lacking in confidence as well. And you know, we matched her up with a fantastic volunteer, and they've got on beautifully. And she hadn't left the house for months, like 5 or 6 months, and she's come to 2 of our, we run like 2 landmark events a year. We have like, it's a bit like a community wedding. It's fantastic. Lots, you know, we had 110 people seated for lunch at the last one. Lots of people that come that don't normally leave their houses, and this lady was one of those people who came along and hadn't left a house in a long time. And then you know, after that event, we sorted out some joint home visits with other local charities, and now, because, you know, she's gained that confidence, she's now able to kind of access other activities. So it's not just her beautiful food friendship that she has in the week, she is also accessing other organizations in the area now. She's confident enough to, which, you know, also having a positive impact on her life, which is great. And I'm sure that her food friendship will continue to flourish because they get on like a house on fire. They both love cats and dogs, so, you know, what more can I say?
I absolutely love that. That's amazing. Honestly, Anna, you are, I don't know how you do it all. You juggle everything. You're inspirational. Honestly, you are. So last thing then, Food Friends, what would you like it to be in the next few years or so? What's your aim, vision?
Well, I think that that home cooked meal sharing initiatives like this should be just everywhere. Like every town should have one, because it's really impactful. It's really effective. It's a really great way of, you know, mobilizing people of all ages to start volunteering. Like you know, we've got volunteers doing their Duke of Edinburgh with the support of their parents, loads and loads of volunteers that work full time and, you know, commute into the city, to our eldest volunteers 84. So it's just a really great way of kind of bringing the community together. So yeah, so I think vision for the next few years is to continue to grow and maybe continue. I guess, you know, that's the next chapter for us. Like, how do we support other organisations to start it themselves by giving them you know, the tools to do that. I don't know how it's going to look exactly, but, you know, it's all getting put down on paper. So a plan will be put in place.
Love it, Anna. Well, I agree with you. I think every county, every town, everyone needs this type of thing. It feels like there's just not enough community connection these days anymore, is there? Right. So look, you're doing amazing work, Hannah. So thank you so much, and really look forward to seeing what's next for Food Friends.
Oh, thanks.